All right, let's talk about it.
Look, this the Raven Talk, this the Raven Talk, this the Raven Talk podcast. Follow us on Instagram, on YouTube for the broadcast. Say this the Raven Talk, this the Raven Talk, this the Raven Talk podcast. Not old news, this is new news to the whole world where they ball at. Come and listen to the former writer for the Baltimore Sports Illustrated.
In the AFC Divisional Round of the playoffs, it came down to a 2-point conversion. Ravens fall short, and in doing so, fall short of another chance at an AFC Championship berth, losing to the Buffalo Bills 27-25. Welcome to Ravens Talk. I'm your host, Samuel Njoku. Ravens fall to the Buffalo Bills, something that I did not see coming. We'll touch on what went wrong for the Ravens, and we'll touch on where do we go from here. Seems like a lot of Ravens fans and players and coaches alike are a little lost for where to go following another short exit in the AFC playoffs. But first, let's talk about it. I've given myself a little bit of grace. I give myself at least 2 or 3 days following the postseason to give myself a chance to take a step back, look at the entire picture of the game as well as the season, to come up with I guess a summary of sorts of what went down in that game and throughout the season. If you guys watched me on the podcast last week, I was very confident that this mismatch will lead to a Ravens victory. Obviously, the Ravens fall short to the Buffalo Bills. Now, there has been a lot of finger pointing at one number 89, Mark Andrews. And of course, if you're living under a rock as a Ravens fan, then you know Mark Andrews dropped the would-be tying score during that 2-point conversion attempt that would have given the Ravens a tie a little over 90 seconds to go for Buffalo and Josh Allen to surmount a game-winning drive. But dropped pass happened, the onside kick failed, and the Ravens exit in the divisional round in the postseason, where many in Baltimore assumed at least the Ravens would make a trip to the AFC Championship to get another crack at the back-to-back Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. Now, there is a lot of finger pointing, as I mentioned, at Mark Andrews, and we'll touch on that 2-point conversion a little later. But, this won't be a long podcast. I'm not going to, waste your time with a lot of diatribe and dialogue about what could have or what should have happened. We're going to get down to the nitty gritty of this. And if you're looking at the title of this episode, then you know where I'm going with it. We're going to just shoot it straight with you Ravens fans, because you deserve to be shot straight when it comes to this team. A lot of opportunities that have fallen by the wayside with a lot of great football teams failing to make it to the championship. The Ravens will not be going to New Orleans to fight for that trophy, the third Lombardi trophy, I should say, to be added into the collection of the Ravens after having won in 2000 and 2012. But again, I'm not going to, drag this along. Let's talk about what went wrong for the Ravens. As I mentioned last week, this was a mismatch. The Buffalo defense were going to have to play heavy, something that they did not do very much throughout the season. They had some success in the beginning, but overall, as the game progressed, you start to see the cracks in that armor. The Ravens were able to surmount a comeback, obviously falling short, but the mismatch was there. We knew what the Ravens were capable of against this defense. Obviously, I think weather played a little bit of a factor, what the Ravens were able to do to kind of take advantage of some of the looks that the Bills were giving the Ravens on defense. But overall, this has nothing to do with the mismatch. The Ravens didn't lose because the Bills figured the Ravens out. Ask anybody who knows anything, who has the better roster, the Ravens or the Bills? Ravens obviously have the better roster. Coaching, you can make a case either way, but obviously John Harbaugh has a Super Bowl trophy. Some would lean Harbaugh's way. I understand the sentiment if you want to go in Sean McDermott's camp. Can't fault you for that. But the Ravens were the better football team. This is why they were favored to win. This is why many predicted the Ravens to win. And why this is a pretty big upset victory for the Buffalo Bills out there as they try and make another claim for a championship after having lost 4 in a row. Back in the day, they get another shot at Patrick Mahomes, who has been a thorn in their side. That's their story. The Ravens' story is that they continue to falter in the postseason. This time, last time, you could blame it on the coaching staff. You could say, they didn't run the football enough, only 6 designed runs. How are you going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs going that way? No, not this time. The Ravens ran the ball plenty. Did they run it 20 times with Derrick Henry? No, 16. That's fine considering you were down by double digits. heading into the third quarter. So I don't want to hear the excuse of the Ravens not running the football enough. That was not the case. The Ravens played it exactly the way they could. One or two play calls here or there, and we'll touch on one that I think should have went the other direction. Overall, the play calling was not the issue. What was the issue? Turnovers. I mean, it's clear as day. The Ravens outgained the Bills in every statistical category on offense. I mean, a lot of that going on in the Divisional Round weekend, so not playing that all on Baltimore, but the Ravens did their job. Players turned the football over. Mark Andrews fumbled the football during the drive in which the Ravens were looking like they were going to take the lead, and this would have probably shifted the other way. Huge turnover. But there's two. There are two turnovers in the first half that really set the tone for this game. It's on the shoulders of Lamar Jackson. Yes, you've heard about it for years. Lamar Jackson not coming to play in the postseason. And I've been the main advocate, at least one of the main advocates, fighting that narrative back, saying, hey, Lamar Jackson gets it done in the postseason. There isn't really a huge body of work to put that on him, even though he's by far, he's likely going to win that third MVP award now. The best quarterback in the league. Just because he's failed to reach the postseason doesn't mean that his postseason lack of success is squarely on his shoulders. This is on Lamar Jackson. This loss is on Lamar Jackson. Is it all on Lamar Jackson? No. But a vast majority of the finger pointing, in my opinion, needs to be directed towards number 8. That first interception, miscommunication with Rashod Bateman, sure. We've seen that time and time again with this offense. It's a bad throw. Get the communication down. It's January, okay? That's not awful. It's bad. It's bad. Didn't lead to points, thank goodness. But it's a bad decision on Lamar Jackson's part, and some of that obviously is with Rashod Bateman in that connection, but we'll take a backseat to that. The fumble's inexcusable. The fumble is inexcusable. It was, I wish there were cameras in my living room when I was watching that game so you can see the outer body experience that I was having watching that unfold. Bad snap by Tyler Linderbaum, yes. You grab the ball. If it's not there, just sit down. Take the sack. Live to fight another day. You can't become Superman. We've seen this with Patrick Mahomes, and it has faltered him in some aspects sometimes. We've seen Patrick Mahomes throw some terrible passes under duress sometimes, trying to be that guy. You cannot do that in this situation. Read the room. This isn't week 1. This isn't week 2. This is the divisional round, the postseason. The narrative against you is humongous. The pressure that comes with having to win on the road in the hostile environment cannot be put into words. You can't turn the football over in that situation. And you gave the ball away. It wasn't like it was a forced fumble. It wasn't like there was a strip sack or what have you. You deliberately gave the football over, trying to make something out of nothing. There was nothing to be had. The play was dead by the time the ball was snapped. Take the sack. Lamar didn't do that. Ball goes the other way, turns into points, and the momentum is swung. And yes, I talked about it last week. There's a mismatch between the Ravens offense and the Bills defense. There is not a defense in the world at this juncture of the postseason where the mismatch is enough to surmount 3 turnovers. It's just not. You cannot turn the ball over 3 times in the postseason and expect to win. I don't care if it's the Monstars versus the YMCA League down on Loch Raven. You cannot win in the postseason turning the football over 3 times. I don't care if Lamar Jackson is better than Josh Allen, Derrick Henry is better than the entire front 7 of the Bills defense. Justin Tucker's kicking it from 70 yards. You will not win games in the postseason turning the football over 3 times. And many predicted that this feels like the AFC Championship game, that you're going against the second best team in the AFC. Turn the football over 3 times on the road? Ridiculous. So the interception, I'm upset about it, but you move on. The fumble by Lamar Jackson, ridiculous. The fumble by Mark Andrews, that's the one. A lot of fans are pointing to he dropped the pass and with a 2-point conversion. Yeah, people drop passes. Do you wish you hung on to that ball? Oh, yeah. Ravens fans' hopes and dreams were held together by Mark Andrews being able to hang on to the football. I get that. But as far as watching the tape, looking at it from a play-by-play basis, it's the fumble. It's the fumble by Mark Andrews that should be criticized. What are you doing, Mark? Who are you What are you going to do? Let's say you're able to evade that tackler that you were trying to do by going 3 yards the other way. Let's say you do that. In what realm are you bursting a 4.2 time and running it down the sideline for a touchdown? In what universe has Mark Andrews ever done that? You choose the divisional round of the postseason. Your team is down by less than a touchdown. You know if you get the score, you have a good chance of winning the football game. And you force a turnover. You allow a turnover to be forced. Now, great play by Bernard. I mean, let's not sugarcoat it. The Bills defense made a play, but you gave them that opportunity. Simply put, Mark Andrews should have dropped down on the floor, taken the win, and fought another down. So 2 turnovers, one by Lamar, one by Mark, caused by inability to process the situation. You cannot turn the football over. Why are we stressing this in January? You cannot turn the football over. The Ravens lost. And it's not because of bad coaching, bad play calling, bad players. Bad decisions cost the Ravens in the divisional round. Sucks. There are no do-overs. This isn't the NBA. This isn't the MLB. Ask me, Ravens beat the Bills 8 times out of 10. The Bills only had to beat the Ravens once. And boy, did they. So yeah, it's heartbreaking and you're upset. You really can't fault anybody but the players on the field. Hopefully that gives Ravens fans some solace. I feel like, and I talked about this on social media, I feel like this loss in comparison to the other losses that the Ravens have had, don't know if this really mounts up there with the big time losses. Of course, it's heartbreaking because it's fresh, it's new. You see Lamar Jackson bringing that MVP caliber play on that final drive, only to fall short because of a drop pass. I get all that, and I get the narrative and the semantics and the story that surrounds that moment. But I've seen worse. I'm not going to, as a fan, pull myself down to this state of depression because the players didn't perform. Players didn't want to win. I mean that's the way I'm looking at it. If you wanted to win the way I think you wanted to win prior to the game, you don't make those decisions. You understand the moment. You got to be smart. I feel like this has been a little harsh, and I've tried my best throughout the season not to be that harsh guy. There have been times this season where I've been critical of certain players, and they've either, proven me to be right or wrong, depending on the player you talk about. This is cut and dry. This is a case of Ravens players not making the correct decisions. I mean, there have been some bad plays out there, and in recent games, and we'll, I'm sure, see the ramifications of that throughout the offseason. But this game in particular, with a chance to go into Arrowhead and avenge a loss, and many believe shouldn't have occurred, squandered because of decision making of that magnitude. Unreal. I mean, watching it, I still cannot believe what I saw from those 2 players in particular, Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews. But Lamar's the quarterback, and I'm going to put the blame on him. Is it just him? Absolutely not. And there were some plays given up out there on defense as well. Brandon Stevens, in particular, I remember one big play for him having lost the Ravens early in the game. You could point to different things, but I'm looking at the turnovers. 2 by Lamar, 1 by Mark, I will let the interception go. Why? God only knows. And I'm going to let it slide. That fumble by Lamar and the fumble by Mark Andrews, both occurring because of poor decision-making. It cost you. You lost by 2 points. I mean, you lost by 2 points. Yeah, that Mark Andrews drop hurts. It's tough. It's going to be a tough pill to swallow. I'm not sure the Ravens fans or players will be getting over that anytime soon. Can't turn the football over. Cannot do it. When we come back, we'll talk about where the Ravens go from here, both players and fans alike, next on Ravens Talk. Welcome back to Ravens Talk. We mentioned it. Ravens lose to the Bills 27-25. They are out the postseason, and now they're picking number 27 in the upcoming NFL draft. Wrong any trades or, anything of the sort. But focusing on the offseason right now because Ravens have indeed lost in the divisional round. And now fans and players alike are probably wondering, where do we go from here? The window is closing. Ravens fans have heard them say, how much longer can Lamar Jackson do this? He's turning 29 next year. Guys. Come on, guys. Yes, it's a shame. It really is a shame that the Ravens have not been able to capitalize on these opportunities. And let's be real, the Ravens have had the best team in the league for the last 3 of the last 6 years. I think it's safe to say. 2019, they were the 1 seed. I feel like they were the best team in the league. Last season, they were the 1 seed. I feel like they were the best team in the league. This season, they had 5 losses, but the 2 teams ahead of them, the Bills, they trounced 35-10 in week 4. And then the Chiefs, they only lost by a touchdown, a toe, we like to call it. But for all intents and purposes, the freaking Chiefs were just winning on sheer will alone. I think roster to roster, I think anyone would say that the Ravens are the better team. Would they have beaten the Chiefs had they made it to the AFC Championship? Who knows? Probably not, knowing the voodoo that the Chiefs had, but we'll never know because the Ravens lost and they don't get that opportunity to find out. And that's okay. The point I'm trying to make here is I don't think that the window is closing. As long as you have number 8, I was very critical of Lamar Jackson in the last segment, but when it's all said and done, I still think Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in the league. He's going to win his 3rd MVP award. There's no doubt about that. I know Buffalo Bills fans are a little sour about that. They probably don't care right now because they have a shot to go ahead and win a championship. But for all intents and purposes, Lamar Jackson proved to be the best quarterback in the league again. But 3 MVP awards and no Super Bowls to show for it. That's going to create a narrative that Ravens fans need to be okay with because we earned that. That's a narrative that we have earned through their play, at least in this divisional game. So do I think the window's closing for the Ravens? No, their roster is still stacked. We heard from Steve Bisciotti and John Harbaugh during the State of the Ravens address, and they're going to make a play to try and keep Tyler Linderbaum and number 14, Kyle Hamilton. So all good things. The Ravens are doing the right things. There are going to be changes. I don't think that they're going to keep Ronnie Stanley. I think Ronnie Stanley has pretty much played his way out. He's earned a Pro Bowl nod, albeit due to lack of participation from Laremy Tunsil of the Houston Texans. But that Pro Bowl nod will help him in contract negotiations. He will likely not be returning. And there has been mention of Rosengarten moving to the left side. Eric DeCosta made some slight mention of that during his press conference. So I expect that move to happen. What that means for the right side of the line remains to be seen. But the Ravens took a gamble, with the interior of their offensive line, having Voorhees when he was there starting, having Daniel Falele start the majority, if not all, of the 2024 campaign. So that's going to most likely pay dividends for them heading into the next season. I'm sure there'll be things that they'll work on with footwork for Daniel Falele, maybe slim him down a little bit, maybe get him into some situations through the offseason and get him prepped for that right guard duty. That spot is his, and I'm okay with it. I was very critical of Daniel Falele throughout the season, but the reason why I was critical is because I didn't think that he was ready. Was he ready? A case can be made that he was because he's like alternate in the Pro Bowl, right? So, but for all intents and purposes, I think that he needed at least a year away from that spot to give the Ravens a better chance to win and not have him flat on his face because his ceiling's high. I mean, there's no doubt about it, but his floor was indeed very low. I think that floor rose a little bit because he got those opportunities. It's a risk that the Ravens took with him, and is going to pay dividends. So I think he has earned that right guard spot. He will be that right guard in 2025. And then he'll be a free agent afterwards. So we'll see what he does after that. But I think the Ravens have some decisions to make along that offensive line. And the reason why I bring up this offensive line in particular is because play calling on that second 2-point conversion. I've talked to people, a lot of guys that I respect in the sports media world that talked about, talk about the play calling all you want on that 2-point conversion. Doesn't matter. Mark Andrews is open. The play calling was fine. That's an insane way to look at things. I think that's an interesting way to look at it. Sure. Yeah. Play call worked in retrospect because, he was open. You just had to catch it, but he didn't catch it. So it didn't work, right? It didn't work. The Ravens conversion on 2-point conversions, running the football, I think they're 6 for 9 in those situations. The Bills on 2-point conversions, defending it, the pass, or they're allowing 18% conversion rate, which is one of the best in the league. So the analytics tell you the Ravens probably should have ran the football. Derrick Henry being on the roster tells you they probably should have ran the football. Now, hindsight's 2020. Of course, if Mark Andrews makes that catch, we're all singing the praises of Todd Monken about, great decision to throw the ball to your best player. There's so many things that can go wrong. With the game on the line, with the conditions you have, bad snap. We've seen the bad snap already by the Ravens in that game that cost the fumble for Lamar Jackson. Snowy conditions, slipping. What if Lamar slipped, trying to roll over to the right side to get that ball to Mark Andrews? What if it's a turnover? What if it's a penalty? The chances of a penalty increases greatly during a pass play than it does a run play in short distances. What if it's an interception? What if it's a drop pass? So many things can go wrong. Only one thing can go right in the passing play like that. In a running situation, play heavy. How many teams have been able to stop the Ravens when they run 7-8 offensive linemen, having Patrick Ricard back there with Derrick Henry and just plow it in? At least give Lamar the option to take it himself and run out to the outside for a touchdown. We've seen him try and do it against the Steelers without success, but that was a situation where the Steelers are better equipped to stop the run than the Bills. I would have ran it. Sure, it's very difficult to criticize the play call because the play call ideally worked, right? Mark Andrews was open. He should have caught the ball. Take away all the risk. People, I'm sure you guys in the business world know, risk management is the name of the game in business. Take away the risks. You have to convert. If you don't, you lose. Why? Why try anything but using the guy that got you here? Ball should have been in the hands of Lamar or Derrick Henry, in my opinion. But again, we're moving past it. Nothing we can do. We can't go back in time and tell Todd Monken, run the ball, idiot. Can't do that. But I digress. Point is, where do the Ravens go from here? Window is not closing. As long as Lamar's quarterback, the Ravens are going to be in it. We've seen the Bills do with Josh Allen. The Bills have no business being in the AFC Championship. Let's just call it how we see it, right? The roster isn't made up to make a run the way they're doing. But because they have Josh Allen, they have a chance every year to make it there. And they have a real chance to beat the Chiefs. They have a real chance. The Chiefs may not. They've already beat the Chiefs once. Of course, the Ravens beat the Bills, and how did that turn out, right? But the Bills have a chance to beat the Chiefs because they have Josh Allen. The Ravens have a chance to beat anybody in the NFL because they have Lamar Jackson. They have a GM in Eric DeCosta who's going to bring out the best in their team. And they have a coach in John Harbaugh who's going to do exactly the same thing. So I know Ravens fans are a little disheartened by the loss, and can't say I blame you. If you feel that way, I wonder how the players are feeling. Take a chance to look back and think about how the players are feeling. They knew they had magic in the bottle, and they fumbled the bag. Quite simply, they fumbled the bag. But that doesn't mean that there aren't any opportunities to grab that bag once more and making it a play at it. I think the Ravens will be one of the teams, as they always are, fighting for a championship next season. Does your hopes alter a little bit because they've had so many chances in the past and haven't got it done? I think it's human to say that. I think, the optimism regarding this team is going to drop. No matter what the Ravens do in the offseason, no matter how good they look in the playoff, in the regular season, once they reach the playoffs, there's going to be that uncertainty. And that is a warranted, deserved uncertainty from the Ravens fan base. And I don't fault the Ravens fan base for being less optimistic about this team moving forward, because again, they've been the best team in the league a lot and haven't got it done. So what's 2025 going to bring that 2024 and 2019 didn't, So I get it. But as an analyst and optimist, I would say, in some regards, I say keep the faith. Guard your heart, of course. Team has let you down before. They're likely to let you down again. Only one team wins it. But this team has as good a shot as any to have a shot at the postseason in 2025. And if they get to the dance, who knows what happens? Just ask the Commanders. Just ask the Bills. That's going to do it for Sarah Ravens Talk. Again, appreciate you guys so much for joining us throughout the season, hanging with us through this very special season that ended not so great. Of course, we'll have some coverage of the Ravens draft as it approaches. We'll have people on board, have former players and probably current players on to the podcast to talk about the season and what they expect for 2025. We're going to take a little break from a long season, very arduous. Lots of different programs that I've been a part of, so I'm going to take a back seat for a little bit until the draft starts. But if you're a Ravens fan, enjoy the playoffs, enjoy the rest of the NFL season. Only so many games left of football before we're thinking about baseball. If you're an Orioles fan, and you've seen how the Orioles have done with their front office, so be appreciative of what you got at the Ravens front office, because the Orioles front office has been notice Ravens talk, but I'm sure you guys are Baltimore fans out there, so giving you a little sneak peek about what the Orioles season has to bring. Hopefully they get a chance to get it done, because Ravens fans are starved for a championship and they deserve to get a shot at one. Again, that's going to do it for Sarah Ravens Talk, and I'll see you very soon.